Hey guys, welcome back for another video. So you guys really liked the last inside a Mumbai Special watch. So we got some more for you. We got this one, we got this one, and we got a third one. We got that jobby do right here. So these are frankenwatches. These are made in India with a combination of some genuine, some aftermarket parts, and as we saw in the last one, sometimes just shoddy construction altogether with things glued instead of screwed, for example. So let's take a look at these. I've already given them a 5-minute Seiko shake. So they are fully wound. This one is running. This one is running. This one is not. Oh, there, look at that. I just touched it and, oh, there it stopped. So this one obviously has some internal issues. These two may as well, they just happen to be running. You can see that, well, they all look funny. They all look funky. They all have something really just wrong about them. 3 completely different watches, I suspect all derivative of at least the same movement. What I want to do first, with the exception of this one, because he's obviously not going to be a normal runner, I'm going to stick these two on the time grapher and just get a baseline to see if they're even close to correctly running or not. You know, you never know. And then we're going to open them up. We'll examine them, see if we can see anything obvious. I already know from running what numbers I can find on them that the backs do not correlate to the models at all. So that's one dead giveaway right there. But another funny thing, I can tell that this, on this non-runner here, this band is nearly identical, if not identical, to the one that came with my brand new Seiko 5. The worst band I've ever seen. So this is actually probably a genuine Seiko band, at least. It's terrible. This one isn't too far behind. It's just a slightly different construction, a little flatter, but both are hollow, both are folded, both are chintzy and sharp, and yeah, yuck. So let's see, this one here is a non-runner, so we'll just set him aside. I'm gonna go ahead and put these on the time grapher and see what we get. Special number 1 verdict, hot pile of garbage. Special number 2, slightly cooler pile of garbage. So let's take a look at this guy first. We've got a pin missing here. So the bracelet itself, it looks pretty new. Number 1, there's not much wear and tear on it, but we're just gonna set it aside. Very, very thin, just stamped metal. Yeah, it's folded, but it appears to be folded so thinly that it is almost solid because it's just layer on layer, but very, very thin, lightweight. We've got a screw-on back. The case looks either freshly polished or aftermarket and new. It doesn't quite match the wear on the back, that's for sure. But again, these backs, they're going to be coming from whatever. Very common sizes on these parts, so no shock there. Let's get this other band off and get some room. Then we'll unscrew it, take a look inside. But in all seriousness, if you were contemplating spending your money, usually on eBay, from one of these, and you see that the seller is in India, just don't. That's really all there is to it. If these were originally made, you know, by the street vendors or whoever is pumping these out by the hundreds of thousands over the years for the local market, for basically free watches that look cool, hey, I get it. That's cool. But when you see them on eBay and they're getting dozens of dollars or sometimes $100, $200, those are just going to suckers. And, you know, it is capitalism. I don't fault anyone for doing it unless they're purposely trying to portray it as an authentic watch, but you're never getting an authentic watch. At most, you're getting a bunch of put together mismatched OEM parts, and that's best case scenario. But most likely you're getting an aftermarket dial, aftermarket hands, none of which are correct, none of which are gonna look high quality. Let's take a close look at this dial itself. The crystal appears to be new, so I'm grateful to have these for some parts. That's for sure. It is a perfect new crystal. Like I said, the case looks brand new. I hate gold, so I'm not going to use it personally. And this is an off shade gold. There's a lot of yellow in this shade of gold, whatever it is. Obviously it's not gold, but it's even a weird shade. It's not even 14 karat shade, that real light gold. This is just almost canary gold. It's weird. Now looking at the printing, it looks sharp, so that's good. A lot of times I see it very low res. The indices are not quite lined up. The bottom here where it says 18, either the 18 is shifted over to the right or the bar is to the left, or both. And the top is aligned right. The date is aligned pretty good, the day and date. So that's nice. Got a separate dial. The hands are crooked. I can see just looking down here that the minute hand is tilted to the left if you're looking at it, like it's actually on crooked. And it's these typical huge, I hate the style of arrow hand. It just looks like, if it were text, it would be Comic Sans font, you know? It just looks cartoonish. I absolutely hate those hands. Even on original equipment watches, I hate those. The second hand, the loom is applied slightly off center. That blob is more towards one edge than the other. So yeah, we've got some pretty low quality parts. Again, nothing too shocking there. Is that off? I'm looking at that, what would be 9 o'clock. Hard to say. It looks like it's just shifted ever so slightly. The dots are not quite evenly spaced in the cream part. Like the dots here are shifted clockwise a bit, or the printing is counterclockwise. Hard to say. The font where it says automatic, that is a dead giveaway. It's very, very thick. It's tough to get really thin font. I'm surprised they got the numbers so nice and clear, but you can see that font where it says automatic, that's really thick. And that's a sign of low quality. All right, so we got that. How's it feel? Feels really good. Movement may be in pretty darn good condition. I mean, other than way out of whack, I don't think there's anything broken in it, is the point. I've never seen it stop. Let's check the dates. Date wheel spins, calendar wheel spins very freely, so nothing feels off. Let's go ahead and open this up. I don't see any chips or any gouges or anything. I really think this case is just a nice brand new aftermarket. Some minor chips on the inside. Yeah, you can definitely tell it's very thinly plated, whatever it is. That's just from somebody nicking it with a tool. A couple on this side here too. So obviously it's had the band on or off at least a couple times. Let's see here. Let's try the old ball first. See how easily we can get this off. Pretty easily. So yeah, that's definitely been on or off. Come on now. Of course, I can't quite by fingers. Super easy with the ball. Let's see what we've got. Ta-da! Is it the 7 series? It is the 634. What does that say? Is that a 6 or an S? 6349A. 23 jewel. Japan movement. Got some real bad pitting on this rotor. Look at that. See if I can feel it. Oh yeah, that feels like, that's weird. It's almost like this outer weight part is different than the inner. I don't know if they separate. Maybe it could be glued together for all I know. That's very possible here. But it feels just like pumice stone. That is nasty. I'm just looking generally here if we have any different looking wear on the bridges or anything like we saw on the other one, where you could tell that just different parts were shoved together. Got a different color on, see that screw there. Got some different color on this one versus that one. That one's probably not with this set. So that's some obvious stuff here. All right, let's take it out of the case real quick. Now, how do we get this one out? We've got I've got a plastic ring that I'm assuming comes out first. Every one of these that I've been opening has been slightly different. All right, let's try this first. Is that broken? That is broken. So we've got this plastic part here that is broken at that point. I think this is a pry point where you were supposed to be able to lift it up. And it looks like one edge has just totally broken off. So let's try, I don't know if I can get in here. That was a real tight squeeze. Great. Well, these are cheap Chinese tweezers. Came with that, $20 starter set. Not surprised they bent. Look at that. I just bent that tip, and that was on plastic, really thin. I do have this slightly nicer, but still Chinese, Amazon tweezer set. It was only like 20 bucks, something like that, for all the different tweezers. But I can tell that they're much sturdier. I don't want to pry up with those though. Well, since these are already messed up, I'll just use them as a general tool from now, like this, to get things out. Yay. So now I don't have to worry about what tool do I need to risk for doing things like that. I can just use those. So that's cool. And yep, as I destroy these cheap tools, I will be buying the good ones as I need them. Just don't really need to be spending $50 on a single pair of tweezers right now. All right, so that is not over the crown and stem. That is through it, unless I glued something else. So let's see how we can remove this. I'm looking for a lever or anything. Oh, okay, what's that? We got like a little tiny cylinder or something right there that when it's pushed all the way in is popping out. Let's see if we can see anything else. I don't see anything else that's accessible. All right, there's something down in here, excuse me, that pops out. I wonder if that's a button. Let's see. Don't think that's a button. Let's try it. Popped out. We've seen that happen too. Yep. So that's a button. And that comes out. There we go. I'm learning. Haha. So we got the crown. Good shape. I wonder. I have another project coming up, and it's in need of the stem O-ring. And I wonder if some of these spare stem O-rings would fit. I just thought of that. I was just about to order one tonight for this other project. You'll see it in an upcoming video. It's a, let's see, 40 some year old, 43 at least year old Omega that I'm gonna completely restore because I really dig it. I think it'll come out really nicely, but I need the O-ring for that. That one may be small, but I'll take a look. That's cool. I didn't really consider all these parts watches I have as donors for that project, but that just might work. What would be really cool is if by some miracle I have a spare crystal that will fit, because it's in pretty rough shape, and I'm fairly certain that it's actually cracked, not just scratched. But anyway, this guy's out, and yeah, this is pristine. So very, very cool to have these spare parts on hand. That's one good thing about the Mumbai Specials. I mean, if there is something you need and you can buy something that's going to give you a bunch of usable parts, by all means, because then it's a bargain. It's an absolute bargain, especially for the stuff where it doesn't matter if it's OEM or not. All right, so we got this here. Now this should be a friction fit or a twist screw for the dial. The last one, they broke off the feet of the dial and just glued the thing to part of another plastic ring in between, like where this gray one is. They just glued it together. So it came off like shoe goo. This one, I'm just looking here. This may just be a plain old friction fit. I'm looking for signs of glue, first of all, so I don't try to pry it up too much. I guess it doesn't matter. Let's go ahead and take these hands off. I'm not going to use these hands for anything because, like I said, I just hate the style. But they are good hands, and I did find, I hate the dial too, so I'm not even going to bother with plastic. But I did find, like I showed in the last video, that project where I needed some hands for practicing painting theories on. Those worked out great, so those will go into my bag of spare hands to screw around with. That was very cool. All right, let's see. Crappy tweezers, you are going to be used again. Just want to see if there's any obvious pry point here. That looks like it right there. There's a little slot opening. And there we go. Oh, there is glue. Look at that. Same thing. See that glue kind of stringing along there as I try to lift this? So, yep, we got more broken parts glued together. Typical special style. I don't even know if this is going to come off cleanly. The first one was a real bear. There we go. Yeah, it's just glued on straight. And this is what I'm finding with these aftermarket dials. They aren't real, so they don't have the mounting feet. They're flat. They're produced this way. So they have to glue them down. And here you can see again, just like in the last one, it's just a broken ring from who knows what. And it doesn't matter. They're just using it as a spacer and a glue point. So you get a worthless dial and a broken spacer that you would have to re-glue if you ever wanted to put this back together. And it's just an ugly dial to begin with. Ugh, who likes that crap? And if I just insulted you, I'm sorry. But come on. Come on, really? Ugh. So let's see, we've got this, yeah, weird piece together movement that is not running well at all. Again, good for some spare parts though. I mean, if I ever need screws, if I ever need anything that's going to fly away, like maybe a spring, maybe a balance assembly, hey, I've got them. So these are going to be really handy for that. I wouldn't ever probably need one of these rings, but these are in brand new condition. I mean, not complaining there. C-clips, very easy to lose those. I've lost a lot of those in my engine days. Have yet to lose a watch one, but I've only taken a couple off. Okay, so that's number one. Let's take a look at the next one. All right, this guy here, let's see what we got going on. So we've got a thick case with a totally flat top. So there's no protruding crystal. It's actually embedded into and level with the case, which is chunky to say the least. Or you could consider it just a case-shaped bezel all the way around. And we've got a nice polish on here, a bit of a brushed finish. It's not really well done. It looks like it's just worn a bit. It doesn't have a really distinctive brushed look to it. No idea if this case is authentic or not. It could just be a really ugly factory design. That is certainly a possibility. I mean, it's not my kind of design to begin with. This dial, I sincerely hope this is aftermarket because the construction is horrid. We've got these, I don't know what kind of indices. I mean, they almost look like Chinese designed indices. The lume dots around them are not all aligned. Some are, some aren't. The ones at the 12 o'clock position, let's see, you can see them there. They're shifted over. The numbers are actually in the bezel itself underneath the crystal. Again, we've got thick, ugly lettering where it says jewels. The font is so thick that the letters are almost touching, especially on the S, and just a total different quality, especially where it says Seiko. There's barely any space inside the letters. The S and the E looks absolutely terrible. The 5 shield, you can barely read the 5. It's almost flat. It's not very 3D. So just a complete piece of garbage there. And of course, we know the movement has issues. Is that the one? No, that's not the running one. The other one that looks very similar. We'll take a look at that last. But obviously this one has even worse running issues because it stops and it starts and who knows what it's trying to do. Let's see if it even turns. Feels smooth on the time. Now it's running again. Let's check the date. Oh, that is tough to push in. It's gummy. We got some issue with the date wheel, the day wheel. There we go. It kind of snaps into place. Date's a little low, but not too bad. But man, that in and out motion is gummy, to say the least. There's no distinctive click. It's just kind of like a bleh. So there's something going on there. Let's go ahead and take this apart. This is just a snap open. Yes, it is. All right, let's open this up. Give us a little bit of room. Tell you, is that, oh, come on, there we go. I was gonna say, is that not a spring clip? I love external drilled clips. I'm running into them more with stuff I'm working on. Up at the lugs, that is so much easier to work on. I mean, the only thing easier is quick release, but these external drilled are just a joy compared to these guys here. I mean, this isn't hard by any means, but it's not as easy, that's for sure. And I don't mind the look of the external hole at all. Of course, that's just personal preference. There's one. One's good enough. We're not doing anything with the case here. Condition is good, so it does lead me to believe this is probably a new aftermarket case. Just a little bit of grime. This one was actually worn quite a bit. Let's see if our ball works on this guy. This guy is tight. We got it. So far, I've only had a couple that I've not been able to use the ball on. I don't mind using the tool. Once I figured out to use a plastic bag, I don't worry about scratching or anything. So we got our case back. A little dirty. Again, not from this watch. You never know where these parts come from. And we've got the Japanese-made 6309A 17 jewel inside this one. And, you know, this looks pretty typical. This may all be from the same actual movement. May just be something wrong with it, but I don't see any obvious discoloration. This level of grime here on the rotor, I mean, I've seen this on brand new ones. So nothing unusual there. This is not any kind of great looking movement. None of the entry-level ones are from Seiko, at least that I've seen. That screw looks like it's up a little bit, but you can see that we are not beating. I'm gonna give it a tiny little nudge. Yeah. Might be sticking on something else inside. Anyway, let's pop this out of the case. Just see what we can see. Got that little lever again. Let's see, the crown has to be out on this, I believe. For the lever to move, is that right? It is. There we go. And again, a nice O-ring and a thick fat one on here. So that's cool. Now I got at least two sizes to possibly use. There we go. Now these hands I actually like. These are much more classic, except for the second. That is horrendous. I would prefer just a straight, thin red one rather than that funky looking arrow. I'm just not a fan. It's just my personal taste of arrows on at least most watches. I think it can work with the right design, but I mean, look at this. Again, it looks just like a mishmash of design styles. We've got this weird, almost like it's supposed to be diamond or jeweled indices, three little lines with three sets in them. I guess that's what it's supposed to look like. It just looks, for some reason, Chinese to me. It just reminds me of Chinese characters. Different shades of gold between the indices, the Seiko and the 5 shield, and the hands. We've got what is probably supposed to be lume, I've been under these bright lights here with it. Let me check it real quick to see if it works. It does not, so it's either dead or fake on all three hands. It's bright white on the seconds and very crusty looking. I don't even think it's real because looking at it from an angle, it blends right in with the gold of the hands. So no shock there. Let's see if we've got any kind of glue job on this here. And again, never using this dial. It's going right in the trash. Take a look and see what kind of mount we have. See if the plastic looks in good condition. This one is at least not broken, so that's a good thing. Let's look for a pry point. Looks like right there. And see if this dial is glued also. It is. Again, aftermarket dial, so no legs. It has to be glued together. This one has quite a bit of glue in it. It is really stuck on there. Just trying not to poke myself. Yuck. There we go. Ugh. Yeah, glue all the way around. And we've got the standard ring. But again, I've got some spare parts. So yay for that. No complaints. Obviously this one has major running issues, so there's something not usable in it or something that needs to be fixed. I think it's way more than just an adjustment. Who knows what kind of lube is used on this stuff, if any. I mean, they could be just disassembling watches, not even cleaning them, and just reassembling them, and, you know, the hands move, so let's sell it. You have no idea. Not any kind of watchmaker. Somebody commented on the last video, well, at least it's a handmade watch. I disagree. It may look like a watch, but unless it functions as it should, I don't consider it a watch. It's just something. It's something different. Now it's running. So if it doesn't run correctly, if it's not doing the job it was designed to do, I don't consider it a watch. So no, it's not a handmade watch. It's a handmade something. All right, let's take a look at the last one. And last but not least, the one that runs very poorly, but at least runs. Now we've got a different design here. It's a similar style, totally different, but still brand new looking. Not sure if it's aftermarket or not because the printing looks pretty good. Dial. We still have the numbers on the sunk in bezel that looks like it's either part of or just underneath the crystal, but we do have an actual bezel this time. Just slightly raised above the case so it's not that extra thick chunky. Let's go ahead and take this one off. Different style secondary fold clasp, but we still have that click there. Decent quality, not gonna lie. If you're buying a bargain basement watch, good enough clasp. I like the micro adjustment. Whoa, man, that shot up like a rocket. I like having spare spring clips too. Might as well take this one out while I'm here. Can always use those. That one doesn't want to press. All right, we'll leave him in there. Don't need him. I'm just gonna go ahead and take this back off. How do these even, oh, they're reverse, they're male. They're tiny, tiny, tiny little pins. I think I can just get those out. Should be enough room inside this little opening. Let's see, I need my glasses for these. That is tiny. There we go, yeah, I can see it. If that tool will fit. Let's try another one. I got some cheap ones here. Man, these things come with so many things you buy. Let's see if this is any smaller. God, now it's the same size. Let's try the pokey end, see if I can just crunch it down. Almost, there we go. Come on, just a little more. Get out of there. There we go. Try the other one. Same thing. Not what the tool is meant for, but if the tool does the job, it's the right tool. Come on. Just wants to catch on that little tiny lip. That's all I need. Come on. Did it the first time. Oh, almost. There we go. Ow. I just pinched my thumb. Ooh, man. All right, goodbye bracelet. Got another screw-on case. And raise your hands if you think this will be glued on. I'm pretty sure it's aftermarket. I just can't see. That one's not going to open. I can't see stuff like this coming with really good condition actual OEM dials. Just unlikely. Wow, that is really, really screwed on there. I actually need a holder for this one because it is so on there. Okay, there we go. Oh, by the way, if any of you are doing videos like this, one thing I did to really help the quality of the videos is, as I always do, use manual focus. Without going into too much detail, Google depth of field to figure out basically where the center point of your depth of field is. Mine happened to be, I think it was just under 2 inches. Flipping this thing upside down and then using the autofocus to focus on this surface, which is that far off the deck, and then switching it to manual to lock it there, gives me enough depth to focus on manual from the deck all the way up about 4 inches. So I've got plenty of room here to work on stuff on the holders, on the cushion, on the pad itself, or even holding it up like this and working on something all in manual focus. No more hunting. I can't stand when videos hunt focus. Just drives me insane. So if you are making videos and you're still using autofocus, just do what you need to do to find something to focus on in the middle of your range. You can Google for an online depth of field calculator. You put in the distance to your subject, the focal length you're using, the f-stop you're using, and it'll tell you exactly how many inches in front of and in back of your focus point you have for correct focus. All right, so we've got another used back. O-rings are always good to have. And ooh, this one's kind of crusty inside. We've got not only the normal looking unfinished movement, but we've got some grime and a lot of marks on the metal, a lot of wear on the edges. This one, at least this part, is bridged Japan, I7J or 17J, probably 17 jewel, 7009A, first generation. Let's go ahead and let's see, pop this out. There's our lever, and the wood dowel I believe worked best for this guy. Push it down, pull it out, and we've got another O-ring, and that one is totally botched up. That is sliced in half. That is what happens when you put too large an O-ring on and then screw it down into something. It gets pinched and it gets cut in half. So this actually had no water resistance. If anyone was actually to get it wet, it would pour right in there because you had no seal. So that's just total garbage other than the stem itself. And, oh, I see. This numeric bezel is glued to the inside there of the crystal. So that's just unusable. Can't even use that on another project or anything. It's part of the actual crystal, and I'm sure it's a standard or a non-standard size to other designs. You know, I liked the hands before I got a real good look here. They are really cheap. You can tell that they almost look fake metal, like painted plastic gold hands. And that orange is really nasty. I'm not sure if it's gonna show up right on camera because orange and red sometimes on sensors come off differently, but this is a very artificial orange type orange. But yeah, these hands are absolute trash as far as good looks once you actually see them. Let's just pop these off real quick just so we can take a look. I would never use this dial again, even if it's real. So we got the spacer ring. It came off the bottom. That's the way it's supposed to be. And looking for any kind of set screws. Okay, we got the 2 set screws, and I do see posts. The way these work, let me grab a screwdriver here. The way these work are, oh, it's a big one on a small one. There we go. The screws are like cams, so they're not round, they're oval. So you turn them and there's a lobe basically. You turn it one way and it pinches. Like pretend this is the peg coming off the back of the dial. You turn the screw and the lobe pinches against the dial. Turn the screw a little bit more and it frees it. That's how these keep the dial in place. So all you need to do, if they're real, is turn this here and opposite on the other side, this here. And this should be the peg, the foot coming off the back of the dial, right next to the screw. So let's see if it's actually real. Nothing wants to slide on this because it's heat resistant rubber. I do have the official professional green one, but it's freaking tiny. This thing covers probably 3 times the surface area, so it's great for just spreading out on this big desk I have. That's 5 feet wide and 3.5 feet deep. So I've just got tons of space to put parts without them rolling around. And I just have the green one off to the side. Where'd that go? Right here. All right, so I'm just trying to see this real quick. We do have a slot and it's just spinning. So it's probably either broken or fake. Let's see, I want to make sure it's just off what's showing there as the peg anyway. I think it was off to begin with. So that's probably not holding anything. Turn this one away. All right, so they're definitely not touching those pegs now. Look for the pry point. And if we don't, I think we do have glue because I don't think this white ring is supposed to be here. This looks like the first one I opened, except it was cracked and not there in all the places. I can't even see a pry point. So it's probably because this white ring is covering what would have been the pry point. So let's just open it and see. No, there is a leg. Look at that. There's one. And there's 2. So this may be an OEM dial, which I believe because the printing is good. There's nothing wrong with the word Seiko. There's space in between the letters and the automatic is nice and thin. So this is probably a real dial. Not something I like because it's gold, but usable at least. I'll keep it just in case, you never know. I don't know if this is original or not to it. Maybe it is because it's in one piece. And then we have what appears to be a pretty worn looking date wheel. We've got a lot of different patina around the different letters and the dial itself. But again, nice, good spare part piece. You know, whatever I can use off of it. Screws certainly, springs, jewels, shock absorber, all of that. Very probably going to be lost by me during projects, and certainly will probably be fitting into some of those projects. Maybe even a mainspring if I need it. You know, who knows? Very cool. So there's 3 new movements that I have spares for. So if you're thinking about the Mumbai specials, this is the kind of stuff you're gonna get. Think twice, unless you need some cheap spare parts and you get it for a good deal. See you next time.